Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Here's Rob Staton inside the bloody trenches with Rob Staton, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. You can follow Rob on social media at Rob Staton. Check out his YouTube page, Rob Staton Football Weekly Appearance, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. He's got the great-looking Cougar hat on right now. Rob, he's here. You've been begging for him to be on. You're tired of talking to me. You want somebody that entertains you. There he is, Jim Moore.
Yeah, it's great to see Jim. You know, Jim is absolutely fantastic. And I've said this to Jim many times before, but I made a bad decision. Well, not a bad decision. I made a decision to take on a huge commute a few years ago. And it was like an hour and a half to work every day and an hour and a half back. And I would not have survived that commute if it was not for Jim Moore. So, and his radio shows. So I much appreciate Jim for that. Yeah.
Never says this about me. It
got me through those long drives.
Only for you.
Honestly, seriously, Rob, that means a lot to me. It really does. Because sometimes when you're doing shows, you don't really know if anybody's listening. And if they are listening, you know, typically you get the text saying, God, you're a moron, you're old, you're clueless, all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that. Did you ever wonder, though, that when you were listening, Rob, like, because I enjoyed Jim so much, you know, why his name is always last on the moniker, you know, like Danny, Dave, and Moore. Yeah.
I did that. I just, there's so many things I remember about that time. I can remember rushing to listen to The Smoking Lock every week. I just found it so entertaining. Like it was, and it just put a smile on my face. And the show was done in a way that it just felt normal at a time when I felt like particularly the Seahawks coverage was going a bit crazy online. Everybody all of a sudden had big opinions on analytics and whether running backs mattered, and it was like a release from all of that. And I loved that show. And that would have been 2018, 2019 when I was doing that job. And it got me through those epic drives that I had to do every single day.
God, I can't tell you again how much I appreciate that. You like to think that people are listening or reading what you're writing, and you never quite know. And so I'm glad you enjoyed those commutes. It made it a little more tolerable anyway.
How much did you pay Rob to say all this before he came on?
Not a single thing.
Some agreement behind the scenes?
No. And I remember when you first came on with Puck when we were working at KJR. As soon as we got done with the segment with you, I looked at him and I go, we have to make him a regular on this show. I mean, because you were that fantastic too. So, yeah. And I'm glad that it's all worked out for you. And you know, you're here as a regular guest with Puck and everything else you're doing over there. And I love your accent when you call Puck, you know, I mean, I love it all. Yeah.
I love being here.
It gets him a laugh every time. Are you guys done praising each other?
No, God, Rob, you're doing
keep it up. Let's go.
Job.
Let the praise show of record. Any more compliments?
No. Rob? What do you do? Okay, this is going to be a dumb question, but I'm known for asking dumb questions.
Who cares? A dumb
Is there
show of
anything
record.
over there that you will do in England tomorrow, even though it's not Thanksgiving there? Do people acknowledge that, or it's just another Thursday in England?
Well, for the majority of people, it is just another Thursday. But as someone who works at a radio station, what you will find is that it's a very easy way for the shows during the day, because sort of my show is a football soccer show which goes on in the evening. But in the build up to that, it's current affairs and news and stuff like that, and a bit of fun on the radio station that I work for. And often so it's Thanksgiving, so they will talk about Thanksgiving, or maybe they'll get an American person on who lives locally or something like that to talk about it. And then, of course, I was down to host the show. I mean, it starts at 6:00 in the evening here, but that clashes with the first Thanksgiving football game. So I've managed to swap it with my colleagues so that I can rush home and watch 3 games of football tomorrow. So, there'll be many people doing that because football over here is crazy popular now. So
American football. Where does American football now rank there in the pantheon of sports?
That's a very interesting question. So obviously you're never going to top soccer. Like that's going to be, it's way, way ahead of everything else. And then traditionally you would have had cricket and rugby as the next 2. I think that there's a chance, I think I've said this before, in the next sort of 5 to 10 years that American football could be pushing those two sports because there's a real lack of money in those two sports. People tend to watch those two sports for when England play big games, not the sort of the domestic leagues are not particularly strong. And I can leave the house. I could leave the house and go to the mall right now, and I guarantee you I will see somebody wearing an NFL hat or a hoodie or something. And here's the crazy thing is often it's a Seahawks hat or a hoodie. Like there are so many Seahawks fans in the UK because the explosion of popularity over here coincided with the LOB era. Yeah. So you have a ton of Seahawks fans over here, and it's incredible how much it's taken off in the last 10 or 15 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard that about the Seahawks being just a phenomenon over there, and so that's cool to hear. Are you? I don't really have anything to transition to my next question here, but where are we on Sam Darnold?
Meanwhile,
yeah, whatever.
Well, hold on, Rob. Do you realize
he was at Turkey last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jim. Oh, that's perfect, Jim. I don't think you realize. Someone said this, and he's, Corey, you're right. We don't realize what a big deal he is over there. Like, do you realize what a big deal he is over there?
I assume that he is, but I didn't realize that.
He's like Stephen A. Smith without the yelling.
But Rob, when you go out to that mall that you're talking about, the people
get swarmed.
That's Rob Staton, and they pull you aside and want to have a selfie with you and all that kind of thing.
It's not very English of me to talk about myself.
He's saying
yes. That has happened, but my wife hates when that stuff happens.
Why does she hate it? Because my wife hates it too, but it's a different reason. I'm curious if it's the same.
Because I'll always end up talking to that person for about 15 minutes, and
but
she doesn't like the focus on her and like everything. So, but it does happen, yeah.
Well,
my wife doesn't like that my candle is.
You don't want. Sorry, Puck. You don't want to just brush somebody off. If they come up to you and say, "God, I really enjoy what you're doing," you're going to say, "Yeah. Let's get this over with and leave." I mean, you're not going to do that.
No, I go the other way, and I almost become too. I'm really appreciative of everybody who listens to what we do or follows what we do, and I feel like I almost go over the top in trying to emphasize that. Like when you get a Christmas present or something, and you really want the people to know that you like the gift. And sometimes you go a bit overboard, and then people think you're putting it on. Sometimes there's like that little bit of a problem with me sometimes. But I think it's great if people actually listen to what you do and feel obliged to come over and mention that. Yeah. I think you've got to you've got to sort of make them aware that you really appreciate that, because why wouldn't you?
Because they're taking time out of
overboard than underboard. Go ahead.
They're taking time out of their day to say. I don't care what you do. If someone comes up to you and says, "I like thank you for what you do," whatever your job is, you like to hear that. It's nice, and I think you got to take time out to be appreciative of that person coming up and saying, "Hey, you've done a good job."
I mean, I also get all the wanker from every now and again as well, so that does happen too.
Well, that's why
my kids. It was funny when I was in Pullman last week. We were at Valhalla, and there were some other 4 college students that came down and just said, "Oh, I love you on the Puck's podcast and everything." And so I'm getting a picture taken with them, and my kids are looking at these, fellow students going, "What the hell, man? That's just my dad. He's an idiot. Why would you want your picture taken with him?"
It's why Rob couldn't, when we went out to dinner when he was in town, couldn't say no to this guy that kept talking to us. Even though I tried to do everything in my power to end the conversation, every signal that I could send. We are done here. Please be done. Yeah, you're right. That poor wife had to deal with that guy all night.
What's your reason that Kaisa doesn't like it when you get selfies taken and all that?
He doesn't like that my candle burns brighter than hers. She would like to be the center of attention. So if I get more attention than her, she's like, I don't care for that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. You ready for Sam Darnold now?
You want to go Sam Darnold? You got a Sam Darnold question for Rob? Yes. Jim Moore, question for Rob Staton.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Rob Staton, my question about Sam Darnold. On a personal level, I just feel terrible for that guy after the Rams game. And you can say, well, geez, man, you're feeling sorry for a guy who's making $30 million a year or whatever. But just professionally speaking, then should we continue to be concerned about him till he shows that he can shine in the brightest moments?
Yes, I feel from as well, and I think he's very likable. when you're watching him play for the Seahawks, he's kind of everything that you want in terms of his emotions and how he sort of leads the team. And physically, he's very, very impressive. He's made some great throws this year. But there is we saw it at the weekend. He didn't turn the ball over, but he could have done twice. And I think he's third in interceptions or fourth in interceptions in the league. And the players who are in front of him are Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, and Geno Smith. So they're not the kind of that's not the kind of company you want to be keeping in terms of the turnovers. Now, I know that the 4 against LA have elevated that a little bit, but if you get to a playoff game now, or even this Rams game that's coming up on Thursday night, we're all going to be sat there wondering, can he avoid a repeat of what happened before? Or even if it's not 4 interceptions, is it going to be 2? Is it going to be like 1, but it's really important? And until he can show, I can play a clean game of football and still be explosive and still win a game for this team, there's going to be a question mark there. But I'm rooting for him so badly to prove that he can do that, because I really like him. And in a week where the former quarterback was flipping off the home fans as he left the field, I really want Sam Darnold to be the guy for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody wants him is rooting for him, but I also think at the same time you go into it and you're nervous about him. And I don't know how you can't be a little nervous about him. It doesn't mean that it should take away the season that he's had. He's had a very good season. But when he does get into these bigger games, that is always going to be there with him. He's carrying that along with him in every big game, just because he, at this point, now again, he hasn't had a bunch of these big games to play in yet, because he just hasn't been, hasn't been a starting quarterback for all that long. But when you go back to that Rams game and you go back to last year and how it ended for Minnesota, a narrative starts to be written about someone, and it's hard to shake. Like, it's hard for him to shake it right now. And again, he doesn't have to come out in that Rams game and be the reason they won. I think we said it after the Rams game. He just can't be the reason they lost. And he was the sole reason why they lost that game. And I agree with both of you. I'm rooting for him, because if he's just Sam Darnold like we've seen this year, not the one against the Rams, but in the other games, they can win the whole damn thing, Rob.
Yes,
because of how they're playing in every other position. That's
what you need. And sometimes as a quarterback, you do have to go through some struggles. Like Lamar Jackson's not won a particularly big playoff game in his career. People are going to ask that question of him when he gets to the postseason. Josh Allen beats the Chiefs in every regular season game, then plays the Chiefs in the playoffs and loses every playoff game. So there's a question mark there about him. And that will be there for Darnold, as it is for other players too. He's going to get opportunities. He gets to play the Rams again. That's the great thing. It's not a one-off game. He gets to play them again. He may play them again after that in the playoffs. There's every opportunity. He may play the Niners twice, 2 more times in the playoffs and at the end of the season. He's going to get some big game opportunities. The Seahawks are going to be in the playoffs. So if he's healthy, he will start a playoff game. That's his time to shine. And I hope he uses this as motivation coming forward to prove to people that he can do it, and that what actually doesn't happen is more turnovers, more question marks, that we're going into the offseason saying he's good, but my word, he is a liability in the big games, like you say, Puck, because we don't want to be there as a franchise wondering about the quarterback position again.
What do you guys think about this conspiracy theory in Minnesota about J.J. McCarthy, and that he's going to be out on Sunday because of a concussion, supposedly? And yet they're Viking fans going, hey, man, they don't want him to go up against Sam Darnold and look terrible in comparison.
I like it. It's creative.
I haven't heard that one.
Have you ever heard of this quarterback who's going to start for them?
Yes, no. I actually watched 11 of his games last season.
Max Brosmer?
Max Brosmer.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me. Was he Minnesota?
He was in Minnesota.
Was he a Gopher?
He was a Gopher, and he was at New Hampshire before that.
Right.
New Hampshire, yeah, and then went to Minnesota and had a really good year. Yeah, had a really good season, and I'm not surprised that the Vikings fans are quite optimistic about him, because he is a good football player. He doesn't have the physical tools. He's not big. He's not fast. He doesn't have a big arm. But technically, so of all the quarterbacks I watched last season, and I watched them all of the draft eligible ones, he was the only one who took snaps consistently under center. Like, that's just something that doesn't happen in college football anymore. Yeah. He takes them under center. He's very good at play action. He could throw the ball well on play action. In the red zone, I found that he was good. And he has got this kind of like sneaky elusiveness to him, where he could sort of avoid a bit of pressure, get on the run, and make a throw. So I don't think I think the fact that it's his first start means that he's probably going to get overwhelmed in this game. At least that's what the hope must be against the Seahawks defense in Seattle. But he could be one of those players down the line who is just frustrating enough to play against, as someone who can he may be capable of beating a good team just by managing things, and he has still got some good receivers to throw to. So I think he is probably, like, based on what we've seen from JJ McCarthy, has probably got as good a chance as JJ McCarthy at this point of being a solution to Minnesota. But they're going to be looking at quarterbacks in the offseason.
Jim, think about what they had on their roster a year ago. On their roster a year ago, they had Sam Darnold, and they had oh my God, why am I blanking on Daniel Jones? Was that think about that. Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold on the roster a year ago, and they say, "Nah, we're good." We ended up we're going to go JJ McCarthy, and you're right. I mean, again, I think we overreact too much to young quarterbacks, and we did it with Sam Darnold. We're doing it with Daniel Jones, and people are going to do it with JJ McCarthy. Just give him some time, but it does look like you're like, God, you went from a real strong playoff team to now you're not going to be in the playoffs. You're one of the worst teams because of a decision you made at quarterback. It's why, Jim, we come back to the decision all the time. It's the hardest decision in sports to figure out the quarterback spot.
No, it is. And, hopefully, and Darnold has looked the part, except for, like Rob was saying, in that game against the Rams, and he needs to do it in the bigger moments. But I went from thinking that this was a lock to go with the Seahawks. I was considering it, Rob, for smoking lock of the week, taking the Seahawks, giving 9.5 to the Vikings, because I figured that redemption game for Darnold, he wanted to show the Vikings what they lost and how could they possibly get rid of him. But now I'm kind of going, geez, the line's up to 11.5.
What is it?
And we know that the Seahawks have had a history of losing to some backup quarterbacks like Colt McCoy at home. So I'm not so sure about that point spread and whether the Seahawks are going to mop the floor with them or not.
I'd have a dabble at 10. I think if there's like an alternative spread, something like 10. I just feel as if Brosma, this is going to be a very difficult baptism of fire for him. And even if Minnesota can keep it close and run the ball or anything like that to shorten the game, that eventually they will pull away. I'll be starting the Seahawks defense in all of my fantasy leagues, even though I like Max Brosma. But I think for him, I wouldn't want to be playing him in 3 weeks' time if he stays in the job once he's worked with Kevin O'Connell, who's a very good quarterback developer. But I don't know. I think the fact that the spread's gone, I didn't know it had gone to 11. I thought if it was 9.5, I would have had a dabble at that. I would have thought that'd be quite tempting, but not necessarily at 11. It just seems quite high, and I've seen what happens. So I took the Panthers when they were at Lambeau, and it was, I think, 13. And the Panthers won that game. And I took the Vikings against the Lions when it was 9, and the Vikings won that game. So I'm always kind of like wary of going too high on these things.
You guys worried about Darnold because he might put too much pressure on himself this week?
Well, he even when he has a clean game like he did last weekend, he nearly throws an interception or two.
Yeah.
So there's always that chance. Minnesota's defense, they've got a very good defensive coordinator, so I'm not going to get too cocky and confident about it. But
yeah, I would think they would know his tendencies there in Minnesota.
Well, and does he want to prove it? Hey, F you, you gave up on me. I'm going to prove it that I can make this throw, and then all of a sudden they know that, and he's throwing 3 picks.
Yeah, I hopefully they'll do a great sort of deception thing there and just run the ball 40 times in this game.
Looking good. Running game's looking good. Walker looked great last week.
Rob, I think it's really interesting what you're saying about Brosmer, the quarterback who's going to start for the Vikings instead of McCarthy, because he was undrafted. And so there's a lot of NFL GMs that obviously didn't think of him in those kind of terms that you do.
Well, I really liked him, but gave him a round 6-7 grade, because you kind of have to think, what's the ceiling with a player like this? And for the majority of teams in the NFL, the ceiling's not good enough, and he's going to go undrafted. But if you'd have said to me in March or April, where do you want to see Max Brosma go to? I would have said a Shanahan or a McVay coach. And that's one of the reasons why I watched as much as I did, because the Seahawks had one of those once they appointed Clint Kubiak. And I just wondered whether or not he is somebody who, specifically for the system, whether that's somebody you bring in, you give them a camp and you see if they can stick. I mean, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. And it's not necessarily that, every player who goes in the 7th round or undrafted by a Shanahan or a McVay guy is going to end up being a $50 million quarterback like Brock Purdy, or they didn't play like one on Monday. I just feel as if this is a great match for him. And it'll take some time. He had a good preseason. I liked him enough to actually watch a couple of the preseason games of the Vikings just to keep an eye on Max Brosma in the offseason. And that's what's generated a bit of excitement, because the Vikings fans thought he played well in those games. But I'm saying all this now, saying I like him, but I want people to know, so that people aren't tweeting me when the game happens and the Seahawks win 38-0, that I don't think he's going to play very well in this first game. But I think he will have a chance with Kevin O'Connell to be a player.
One thing that we've all been celebrating the year of Jackson Smith and Jigba, right, Jim? I mean, it's been an incredible year. He's gonna likely break, Megatron's single season record. He's got an extra game to do it. He's going to be the first receiver, at least he's on pace to be over 2,000 yards. But I guess there is the one concern with it. And I think I saw this stat. If I get the number wrong, I know I'm close. He's accounted for something like 49%, of their catches and production at the wide receiver position, which brings up the question, like, they need somebody else to step up, like, right, Jim, or can they just keep doing this every single week with him? Where like the coordinators are like, we'll just leave him alone over there, but it's like a one-man band over there, but the one-man band is performing.
That sounds like overanalyzing and overthinking it to me.
Well,
I understand where you're coming from. You probably want to spread it out a little bit, but I don't quite understand, Rob, and maybe you can help me understand it. Why they don't take him away? Why defenses don't take him away? Maybe he's untakeawayable because he's so damn good. That was pretty good that I came up with that on the fly.
That was great. I'm going to actually write that down.
Untakeawayable. Because he is that good. But I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, I'm the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. I'm going to take him away and try and let a broken down, aging Cooper Kupp to beat me, or, AJ Barner or whoever else. But I'm not going to let JSN beat us.
Well, I think that's the amazing thing about him, is that he is inevitable at this point. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter who they're playing, he's going to get 100 yards or thereabouts and a touchdown or whatever, or 2 even last week. And the top receivers are inevitable. Like, if Matt Stafford goes into a game thinking Puka Nacua is going to get 100 yards in this game, he's probably going to get it. And look at George Pickens with the Cowboys. Like, everyone knows that George Pickens is the main man for Dallas, not CeeDee Lamb. He's getting 100 yards a game. We've seen it with Justin Jefferson when he's at his best. Jamar Chase, you can come up with a plan for Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase will probably still score a couple of touchdowns and get 80 to 120 yards. And JSN is in that company now. He is an elite player. He is probably one of, I would say, 2 blue chip players the Seahawks have, along with Leonard Williams. And he's a naturally gifted player. He's not the quickest. He's not the biggest, but he tracks the ball probably better than any receiver in the NFL. I think he's intelligent with his route running. And he has just got that shiftiness about him to separate on a short range, but he can also get downfield and make those big explosive plays. So it's a pleasure to watch him for Seattle. And you have to say the Seahawks have pulled off an absolute minor miracle by getting a player of that quality with the 20th overall pick.
It's there's a stat that's been out there on social media this week. He has more receiving yards than 5 teams in the league combined in their wide receiver room. The best part of it is one of the teams are the Pittsburgh Steelers,
of course,
with DK Metcalf. It's just, that's mind-boggling that he's got more than that entire room.
Well, the Steelers also had Pickens, of course. They traded him to Dallas.
Right.
And they acquired DK, give him an absolute fortune. And the Seahawks didn't need DK, and the Steelers did need George Pickens. So it's funny how those things work.
You know who's smiling these last 2 off seasons is John Schneider. John Schneider is smiling his ass off right now in his last 2 off seasons. Moves on from Carroll, brings in McDonald, moves on from DK, moves on from Geno Smith. He's upgraded at both. Just smiling his ass off.
Well, same guy who moved on from Russell Wilson.
Yeah, gets an extra whip coming out of that hot tub from Jody. Just a
Oh, you're going back to that one.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
I missed that one.
You missed Jody whipping all the
Sound
guys.
effect of the towel back.
Can I make a request?
God, I love that.
Who was what's the title? My mind is gone. Who controls? It was like the GM of the college teams.
Athletic director.
Athletic director.
Yeah. Oh, you want Jen Cohen?
I do. Yes.
Well, there's going to be a lot of openings this year, Rob, and no one's going to take my Grubby because Grubby's coming home to USC because I'm going to boot that Lincoln Riley out, and me and Grubby are going to sit back on my porch with a Pinot Green, a couple of cigarettes, and get a little loose. You know what I mean, Rob?
Rob, I think he might have gotten called in on doing one too many impressions of her. And
Not might have, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yelled
Closed door meeting.
You'd stop doing
Husky
that. Flagship
flagship station. Husky flagship station. What the hell are you doing out there?
I'll never forget this.
She does it for me. I don't know what else to tell anybody. She just does it for me. The voice, the look, all of it. I'm in. I've been in for years.
I'll never forget the sort of all of the significant things that happened with the Seahawks in that sort of period where Carroll departed and Mike McDonald was hired and everything like that happened while you were on air, and you would sort of you would sort of reference that the big breaking news had happened, and then it would often be followed by like that impression or like something completely irreverent. So it was massively entertaining at the time.
Honestly, there we go. We
one,
did
one of our most professional moments, and we don't have many to choose from, was after Michigan beat the Huskies in the national championship game. And
remember the show.
And Rich Moore only put us on for an hour because he thought, and usually we have a 3-hour show. And every break that we went to, and, during the game or during the broadcast, it was like, oh, man, God, that was tough. The Huskies were this close, good for them, a tip of the cap and all that. During commercial breaks, we were going, God, thank God Michigan won.
I forgot that you only let us go on for an hour.
Yeah.
God, that was great. Yeah, I'm only going to give you an hour. Why? Well, because I don't need you on the air. Well, why don't you just take us off? Just don't put us on at all.
No, we pulled it off.
I know, but it was the worst hour. I know. It was the worst hour of radio in the history of an hour radio. We had to sit there and lie the entire time about, God, it's too bad. Well, if they would have just done this, they would have had a shot at winning the game. And man, great season for the Huskies. Really proud of how they competed against Michigan. And Jim's right. The second the mic went up, we're like, fucking go. Hail to the victor. I couldn't contain our excitement that they lost. I loved every second of it that they lost. Yeah. Are we pathetic and bitter and small? Yeah. All of it. Well, still was fun to watch Michigan win.
They may well experience a similar feeling this weekend.
Oh yeah, well, go Ducks, and he can say go Ducks because he's married to a duck. So.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of like the Huskies in the points this week, though. They play so well at home.
What's the point?
6.5, and I wouldn't mind if the Huskies won this week, just because then Fish would kind of move up in the hot coaching rankings.
We want Fish to leave. And not because we think he's a great coach, just because it just creates chaos.
The humor.
Yeah.
The amusement.
I think they may win. I think they got a shot at winning.
I'm going the Ducks and the points there. I mean, they absolutely smashed USC. I think USC are a better team than UW. So I think 6 points. I'm going to have a bit of that. I think if that's what it is over here.
Did you guys see, we reference this, I want to get to it. So the Seahawks did their top 50 players of all time. I love these lists. Who doesn't love a list? Everyone does. Well, Condotta ranked them 1 to 50. Mm-hmm. Now, I've got some issues with Condotta, but everybody should have an issue with anything. It's a list, right? I mean, I can first start with the first one I had an issue with. He's got Kurt Warner at 19 and Jim Zorn at 17. Hey, Condotta, come on. Jim Zorn was not a better player than Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner, if he doesn't get hurt, is one of the all-time running backs in the history of the league. That's my issue number one. Also, Kenny Easley. He's got Kenny Easley at 7, but he's got Richard Sherman above him. Jim Moore, I'll ask you, because I bet Rob never saw Kenny Easley play. You think Richard Sherman was a better football player than Kenny Easley?
No, he wasn't.
Not even close.
But it's not like it was that Easley was light years ahead of him.
Well, he was a defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
And he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. Like he's in the.
And Bob's old enough to have seen Kenny Easley.
And Kenny Easley is in the conversation as the greatest safety of all time. Of all time. Is Richard Sherman in that conversation?
Too bad his career was cut short too, the kidney issues. And but you're right, no matter what you do on those lists, and you probably can say, okay, Condotta has his top 50, and there's probably a handful or two handfuls of guys that you're going, why didn't he make the top 50? Like, Dave Wyman should be on that list, and I don't think he is.
Who?
That second rounder out of Stanford back in the day. God,
he played for the Seahawks, right? He was a middle linebacker.
I got to see the menacing look on his face many times. Can you imagine playing against that guy?
What is he up to now? What is he doing now?
I don't know. He's doing a show that used to be really good until they got rid of the older guy on it.
Oh.
And now it's just a bunch of meanwhiles and, just dull stuff.
A bunch of I just got done with jiu-jitsu class. What did you do, Dave? All right, top 5.
I love Bob, though.
I know. Top 5 from 5 to 1. Cortez Kennedy at number 5. Number 4, Steve Largent. Number 3, Walter Jones. Number 2, Bobby Wagner. And he says the best player in Seahawks franchise history, of course, Russell Wilson. You think let me start first with you, Rob. You think Russell Wilson should be number 1 on the list?
Well, as you quite rightly say, my time sort of tracking this.
Right.
I mean, I followed the NFL in the 2000s and properly invested in the Seahawks in 2006. So there's a lot of players on this list that I'm not in a position to comment on. I think it's an interesting number 1 choice because the argument is valid. Russell Wilson changed the NFL for a period, and he was unbelievable for a long stretch. I suppose it depends whether you are going to place all of the importance on the position that he played over the overall quality. So, for example, Walter Jones and Kenny Easley and people like that you've talked about there are probably, in terms of pure talent, better players. But Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl and has set a bunch of quarterback records, so you can make that argument. It's a fun list. I would not have had Bobby Wagner ahead of Walter Jones as a starting point there. I think you've raised a good point about Richard Sherman, although I really have very little time for Richard Sherman. So
he's so obnoxious. I want Richard Sherman to go away.
Do you think he's terrible on the Amazon thing?
Yeah, I think terrible in everything.
I don't think he's terrible. I'm over Richard Sherman. He was at what game was I at the playoffs? Game 5 when they won, when they beat Toronto, I think. And he was the celebrity they brought on the field, and everyone's going nuts. And I'm like, F off.
The thing is,
he was nice to us up at that. We had him.
He was. I'm tired of a guy that continues to get in trouble off the field. Well, I don't want to turn this into Richard Sherman. I'm over Richard Sherman. All right, Rob, continue.
Yeah. I'm a huge Marshawn Lynch. I think I don't think you have the LOB era without Marshawn Lynch. So I would probably bump him a little bit higher. But the Wilson thing, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think because you've seen some of these sort of players that I've not, and I think it's an interesting number 1. I think probably a lot of the fans will react negatively to that when they see it. I wouldn't remember.
Well, I'm fine with Wilson being number 1. I can see for reasons that, Bob chose him there and Rob talked about. I'm not buying Bobby Wagner at number 2. I'm just not buying him number 2 overall.
Oh, this is him getting influenced. He's getting influenced by Dave Wyman. Because Wyman's
No, I'm not. No, God.
I agree with you.
People saying that. Oh, you're just regurgitating stuff that Wyman said. No, not really. I never thought I was. Bobby was a terrific player, great player, but all-time middle linebackers.
He's not the best defensive player that's ever put on a Seahawks uniform? So no, he's not number 2.
No, okay, fine. Then why?
I'm saying Cortez Kennedy and Kenny Easley were better defensive players than Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, or you can even put Sherman. You could put Sherman ahead of Wagner.
Thomas was a better defender than Bobby Wagner at his best.
Who was that?
Earl Thomas at his best.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Was he in their prime? You're right. I think that's a great question. Right? In their prime, the LOB, who was the most important player on that defense during the LOB?
Earl.
I'd say Earl too.
Cam.
I think Earl Thomas was the most important player on that defense.
Earl was without a doubt, and then Cam, the tone-setting physicality that Cam Chancellor had. As much as you don't have the LOB without Marshawn, you don't have the LOB without Cam Chancellor either. And a whole era that is like, people will talk about the '85 Bears and the Ravens in 2000, and now they talk about the LOB. None of that happens without Marshawn Lynch and Cam Chancellor. So I think you have to sort of acknowledge that. And Bobby Wagner, consistent player, very good player, not better than some of the names you mentioned.
Would Cam be the same player that he is today if he were playing now? I wonder if Cam Chancellor would be as effective. And I just say that because of the rule changes. I feel like all his big hits, we'd be seeing yellow flags more than we used to.
You're right. 100% right.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably could play that. I mean, the hit on. Did he get a flag for the hit on the Niners tight end?
Vernon Davis.
Did he get a flag for that?
Yeah, he got a flag. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah, he probably would have been flagged a lot more. I think, Jim, who would you put number one? I think for me, it's pretty clear cut.
Who is it? Walter Jones?
Walter Jones.
Yeah. Well, he was known as the best left tackle for many, many years. And so, yeah, I'm fine with Wilson, though. I'm fine with Russell Wilson being number one. Yeah. I mean, what he did coming out, smaller quarterbacks, took a chance on him in the third round, and what he did for the Seahawks, and the vertical game and plays off script and everything else. He was terrific. God,
he also had on that list. I can't remember where he had him, but it was way too low. And Rob won't remember this guy. This is way before Rob's time, but I want to see where he had him because I remember when I read it, I'm like, oh, come on, that's way too low. Let's see, not there. Where is he at? He had John L. Williams way too low. He had it at number 30. John L. Williams was great.
Yeah, but it's probably the position that he played, though.
Oh, but he was, come on. John L. It was beautiful.
Where do you have Marshawn? Where do you put Marshawn?
He was better than Marcus Trufant. I'll tell you that. And I love Marcus Trufant, but come on. John L. Williams.
Marshawn top 10?
14th.
14?
It's a little low. He should be over.
I'm old. Kurt Warner was the best running back this franchise has ever had.
Agreed.
So,
all right, Rob, I'm glad you got a little Jim in you.
I am glad too. Yeah, it has genuinely been an absolute pleasure to be here today. I'm not joking. It has, and this has been this is the first day off work I've had for about 11 days, and I'm absolutely knackered. And this has completely cheered me up, sort of having this conversation. So I've loved every second of it.
Good. All right.
Thanks, Rob.
All right,
pleasure
Rob.
Being with you, man.
We'll bring him around more often. And Jim can stay on at every visit with us. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Rob.
See you next week.
All right.
Take care, Rob.